Hi guys, I just served up this white coffee ice cream and it was so rich and delicious and the perfect accompaniment to any dessert that's chocolate or nut based, I feel. Start off by measuring out 300 milliliters of cream, followed by 600 milliliters of milk, bring it up to 900 milliliters. Then set that aside while you weigh out your coffee beans. Then weigh out about 100 grams of coffee beans. I know that's an awful lot of coffee, but we're not grinding these up. We're going to keep them whole and that'll keep the ice cream a lovely light colour. Then pour the beans into a saucepan and place the saucepan on the hob over a high heat to toast the beans up further for another minute or so. These beans are already toasted, but it's no harm in giving them another little bit of heat just to really bring out the coffee flavour. So once they become even more aromatic, go ahead and pour the milk and cream mixture over it. Then turn the heat down to the lowest heat possible and allow the beans to steep in the milk and cream for a few minutes while you crack on with your eggs. For this you need a large mixing bowl to put your egg yolks and a small bowl for the egg whites. Now go ahead and separate 5 eggs. You can freeze the whites to use for meringues later. Now bring back the scales and weigh out 250 grams of caster sugar. I'm using golden caster sugar because it has a nicer toffee flavour, but actually plain white caster sugar would be better to not kind of cloudy up the colour of the ice cream. And to that I'm going to add a pretty fat pinch of sea salt flakes. Now add the sugar and salt to the yolks and whisk them all up until you get a light in colour paste. This paste is actually going to be quite dense because of all the sugar and quite lumpy because it won't properly dissolve. It will also take quite a while, but you're in no rush. The cream and milk and coffee is only on the lowest heat possible, so it's no big deal. Eventually though, it should look a little something like this. Nice light in colour, almost frothy but too dense. It is very dense and lumpy. So just set that aside while you go back to the coffee. You can turn the heat up to high now that you're free to stir it and keep an eye on it and just heat it until the milk goes a small bit of an opaque colour and you taste it and it tastes like a really nice latte. Then take it off the heat to pour it into your egg yolk and sugar mixture. I'm using a sieve to catch all the coffee beans and just add a little bit of the hot cream in, a little bit at a time, and make sure you whisk in each bit before you add in the next bit so that you won't be flooding the eggs with all that hot milk that will scramble them. So just keep adding it bit by bit, and once it's all incorporated, and because the sieve is already dirty, I'm going to use the sieve to pour the creamy coffee custard back into the original saucepan, just to catch any coffee bits that might have gotten through or any pieces of unbeaten egg. Now take the pan and place it over a medium heat again. Now you're going to want to take a wooden spoon and stir this constantly for about 30 minutes, just until it thickens up. You'll know it's done when there's no longer any foam on top and you run your finger across the back of the wooden spoon and you leave a clean mark. Then take it off the heat and let it come down to room temperature. This will happen a lot quicker if you fill a sink with cold water and sit the saucepan into it. So once it has come down to room temperature, take a freezer-proof container and pour it into it. And my container doesn't have a lid, so I'm just going to cover it with tin foil and transfer it to the freezer for an hour or maybe 2 or just until it starts to freeze. Make sure to check on it every so often, and once you see ice forming around the edges just like this, then transfer it to the cup of a blender and blitz it up to break up all those ice crystals. Then pour it back into the container and return to the freezer, and do this another once or twice if you have time before you put it to bed for the night and leave it until you're ready to serve. I just blitzed it twice though because my freezer is crap and it was taking ages. Finally, once it has frozen solid, you're ready to serve. You might want to let it sit out for 5 minutes before you dig into it though, if your freezer is very powerful. Just scoop it out onto a plate and dig right in. I just served this on its own today, but it really would be so good with anything chocolatey, a warm brownie or a fondant or anything like that. It would just be amazing. Thanks a million for watching, guys. I hope you liked this video. If you did, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. You can check me out on social media if you like. You'll find all the links to my accounts in the description, as well as the link to my blog where you'll find this full recipe at www.rookiecook.org.